1941, Franklin D. Roosevelt was President of the United States. On December 7, 1941, the Japanese raid on Pearl Harbor was one of the great defining moments in history. A single well-executed attack removed the United States Navy's battleship force as a possible threat to the Japanese Empire's southward expansion. America, unprepared and now considerably weakened, was abruptly brought into World War II. Harry Truman was sworn in as president in 1945. Iwo Jima had two airfields, one of which was large enough to take B-29 bombers. It was the logical place for the Allies to establish an emergency landing strip for bombers low on fuel or heavily damaged. By the end of the war, over 2,000 B-29 aircraft had made safe emergency landings on Iwo Jima.
Iwo Jima was an island having strategic importance, and so it became the most heavily fortified and stubbornly defended real estate in the Pacific. Its position, 670 nautical miles from Tokyo, and rising to a tip of 550 feet, gives this island dominance. The triumph. The tiny volcanic island, a place nobody knew, became a place nobody would forget.
The tragedy. Young men who knew they must kill and be killed.
The Marines on Iwo were fighting above ground, and the Japanese were below them underground. Every Marine, everywhere on the island, was in range of Japanese guns. It was the tenacity of the foot soldier that won this war. There can be no more fitting tribute than the well-known words of Admiral Chester W. Nimitz. Among the Americans who served on Iwo Island, uncommon valor was a common virtue.
The tragedy. There was a great loss of life during the Battle of Iwo Jima. 22,000 Japanese troops were entrenched on the island, and only 1,083 survived. The United States lost a total of 6,821 young lives, and 20,000 were wounded.
People were listening and watching as the Battle of Iwo Jima sent more Marines to Iwo than any other battle. The American Air Force's aerial offensive was the longest sustained aerial effort of the war. 880 U.S. ships sailed from Hawaii to Iwo in just 40 days. The triumph. No battle of World War II, not even Normandy, was watched with as much interest as the Battle of Iwo Jima.
The tragedy. The Japanese soldiers and their commanding officer, General Kuribayashi, were told that they would not see their families or homeland again should they fail to beat the Americans. General Kuribayashi wrote in a letter to his wife long before the invasion came, "You must not expect my survival."
Mr. Billy Levan was one of those brave Marines who fought against the Japanese on Iwo Jima in 1945. This is his story.
Did you get shot at the Battle of Iwo Jima?
Yep.
You did?
Yep.
Did it hurt?
Well, it knocked me, floored me. Here's where I got shot. See the hole here?
Mm-hmm.
You see back here?
Mm-hmm. Oh, one right there.
They thought I was going to lose my arm, but it didn't shatter the bones, so I could save it.
In your opinion, what was the hardest part of the battle?
Trying to get on the island. With the boats coming in, the Higgins boats coming in, that they weren't room, and we're coming back and trying to get in and coming back and trying to get in. Once you get on there, and then it was all that volcanic sand, you thought you were fast, but you can't run in that. You're running in the same place, you know? That was the hardest part.
Did you earn any medals during Iwo Jima?
Yes, I had a couple medals, yes.
What
I
were
had a
they?
Purple Heart, presidential citation. And then, I don't know, my kids lost all my medals right in the field back here. Playing.
Fine. Soldiers.
Billy, mostly. He still put my whole uniform on.
What position were you during Iwo Jima?
Machine gun. I was a machine gun.
Did you see the flag being raised?
Yes, I did. I didn't actually see it go up, but somebody hollered they got a flag up. And see, the 5th Division was going up the Iwo Jima, we were going across. They had 2 airfields there, and we were going across the airfield.
Did
Right.
getting shot ruin your baseball career?
Just about. I was a catcher, so. And then the buddy of mine that was signed up, Richie Oshesky, he went with the Yankees signed him up. He pitched just about made the Yankees. The Yankees were going to bring a left-handed pitcher up, and it was between Richie and Whitey Ford. Well, you know, they brought up Whitey Ford become great, but Richie was good.
What team were you going to go to?
Yankees.
How old were you when you went to Iwo Jima?
I think about 19.
19.
How long did you have to stay until?
On Iwo Jima?
Yeah.
4 days. Then they took me out. When I got wounded, they took me out to a hospital ship, and then they took me Saipan, and then I came back. When the war was over, when Truman dropped the bomb, we were ready to hit Japan. We were ready to board ship. That'd have been awful, you know. We had to make a 2-mile beachhead on the Kyushu, the southern tip of Japan. I don't think anybody would come back. Harry Truman saved a lot of lives, you know, by dropping. He saved so many lives, oh my God. Everybody was sending all their stuff home because they figured they weren't coming back, you know. You had a watch, you send it home, bring you, send it home.
Wow.
You know?
Iwo Jima was one of the bloodiest battles in Marine Corps history, during which almost 26,000 U.S. personnel would be killed or wounded in the fight to preserve freedom. The men believed in their fight for their children, wives, grandchildren, and people like you and I, deserving to enjoy the freedom that we have today. These men gave up everything, sometimes their lives. They are our American heroes. The Triumph. More U.S. Marines earned the Medal of Honor on Iwo Jima than in any other battle in U.S. history.
The tragedy. One of the flag raisers, John Bradley, said, "People refer to us as heroes. I personally don't look at it that way. I just think that I happened to be at a certain place at a certain time, and anybody on that island could have been in there. And we certainly weren't heroes. And I speak for the rest of them as well. That's the way they thought of themselves also."
The U.S. Marines climbed up the steep slopes of the lava-crusted volcano, reaching the top of Mount Suribachi, where they raised the Stars and Striped flag in triumph on February 23, 1945. The Triumph. The famous flag raising at Iwo Jima symbolized American patriotism and valor.
The tragedy. On February 27, 1945, Frank Sousley wrote in a letter from Iwo Jima to his mother, "My regiment took the hill with our company on the front line. The hill was hard, and I sure never expected war to be like it was those first 4 days. Mother, you can never imagine how a battlefield looks. It sure looks horrible. Look for my picture because I helped put up the flag. Please don't worry and write."
The seizure of Iwo Jima didn't come easily, but was believed to be necessary. Admiral Chester W. Nimitz summed up the importance of Iwo Jima when he said, "The U.S. Marines' individual and collective courage conquered a base that was necessary to continuing forward movement toward final victory." The Triumph. The protection and freedom won at Iwo Jima has changed people's lives forever.
For the American public, the flag raising and the capture of the island served as a psychological tipping point. For the U.S. military, however, the horrendous cost of victory was one of the factors that led to the use of the atomic bomb 7 months later. The Marines were ready to board ship when President Harry Truman gave the order to drop the atom bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki on August 6, 1945. Japan announced its surrender on August 15, 1945, bringing World War II to a close.
Spacious skies, far amber waves of grain, far purple mountain majesties.